If you look at the class page, you see here's the plan to demonstrate these, and they're due in a couple of weeks. So CL10 is just preparing your machine to have a development environment. I've got a Debian Linux machine here that I used earlier for the demonstration. Let's clear the screen. All right, and so I don't have to do it again, but I could sudo apt update. I need to give it the password because this is an administrative action, and this updates the repository lists on my machine of what versions are available in the cloud from these various sources. The main one here being Debian.org that I care about for simple things like this. And then I can install Build Essential and GCC Multilib, which lets you compile for multiple environments, not just the one I'm on, which is 64-bit Intel. This is the debugger, gdebugger, and the Y means don't ask any questions, just assume yes. So it's nearly done downloading the package lists and all that. All right, so it's done. Some things failed, but that was Metasploit stuff that failed. I don't really care, and sysdig, whatever that's for. Those are some exotic things I've tried to install on this machine. Now I can install these things, and what it should do is just notice that you've already got it. Yep, I've already got them, and they're already the latest version. If there was an update available, it would have put on the updated version. All right. So now I can make a simple program, which I think is the same one you've already seen, hello.c. All right, here's the program that just imports the library for I/O. It makes a main function. It defines an array with enough room to store 10 characters, which, by the way, only has 9 usable characters because you have to have that null byte at the end. Then it asks you for your name. It reads it from the keyboard, and then it prints hello name. That's all it does. So you can compile it, and as I say, I always specify the output explicitly. If you don't, I don't want to put it in a.out. That's for the birds. And here we're going to use no stack protector, which is just a way to compile it in an old-fashioned way, so it'll be simpler to look at the assembly code. So there's the compiler for this. We'll put it in a executable code called hello. This is the Unix convention. The file extension tells you the name, what's in the file, although it's optional, and a file with no extension is an executable file. That's the convention. So that creates a file called hello. If I look at the files on the machine, I'll find hello.c here, only 166 bytes, and hello here, 16K, still pretty small, because it's going to do dynamic linking to libraries. So it doesn't need an extra copy of the library. So now I can run it with /hello. And if I put in a short name, it works. But if I put in a long name, it can take that, even though that's longer than 10. So this overrode the limits of what I reserved into extra space, but it didn't hit anything critical. There was some space available there that wasn't, but if I keep making it longer and longer, eventually it's going to crash. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now I get a segmentation fault, which means it exceeded the available space and it hit the return pointer. So we're going to see what causes that in the debugger. So we debug it with gdb -q to make it quiet, hello. And now we run. It asks me for, I'm going to put in this, 4 A's, 4 B's, 4 C's, 4 D's, 4 E's. That's another way to do it. You put in variable data. Now it's going to crash with a segmentation fault. And, that's interesting. So, okay, this is good. I noticed it's 64-bit code. I didn't tell it to make 32-bit code. That's what caught my attention. What it shows you here is what's in the EIP, which is the RIP, and I can see a 4545 there and a null. So the end of this, EE null, ended up in the instruction pointer. And this doesn't tell you it's the instruction pointer, I just happen to know that. If you want to see the registers and have them labeled properly, you run info registers, and now you'll see the large group of registers that are available on a 64-bit processor. And the one that matters to us is RIP, which is here. That's the instruction pointer. And as you can see, it starts out with what looks like a valid address, and it ends up with extra junk in it, 45450. That's the A, B, C, D, E, E0. A is 41, B is 42, C is 43, and so on. So 45 is the last two E's and the null byte at the end to terminate it. We ended up in there. So if I want to gain full control of the RIP, I need to have a longer string. So let's just try that for fun. If I run this again and start it from the beginning, and then I do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now it's going to crash, and now you can see I have E, E, F, 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 G, G. I'm controlling this whole thing. So I could put any value I want in there by putting those characters here. And that's what we're going to do later. We're going to, instead of just having a denial of service attack, which is what we have now, where we crash the program, we're going to have a remote code execution attack where we take that variable and control the execution to do what we want instead of what the developer intended. All right, but that's the point here, and that's enough to get you started. That's the fundamentals of how you compile a program and then begin examining at the binary level how this program runs, how it's actually loaded in the registers and runs. And we're going to do a lot more of this in greater detail as we go ahead. So that's the first project I wanted to show you.